The stars were calm that morning. On the shining world of Velrian Prime, thousands of alien delegates gathered inside the Great Hall of Voices. It was a place where every species in the galaxy came together, to argue, to trade, and to decide the future of worlds. The meeting was loud, as usual. The Galactic Council was never silent, until today. A messenger drone entered the chamber, flashing a red signal. It hovered near the main platform and played a message. The voice was trembling. To the Galactic Council. This is Station L7. We have lost contact with every human colony in this sector. No ships, no answers. No human signal at all. The room grew quiet. For a few seconds, no one spoke. Then laughter broke the silence. Humans, said the Zarn ambassador, a tall creature with 6 eyes and a silver crest. They probably shut down their systems again. Always dramatic, always emotional, others agreed. The Threll diplomat waved a claw. Yes, this happened before. They will come back shouting, asking for attention. But one voice didn't laugh. It was Admiral Kor, leader of the Council's defense fleet. His species, the Ryal, had fought against humans long ago. He remembered them, fierce, creative, and unpredictable. Kor frowned. No communication from hundreds of colonies? That's not drama. That's a pattern. Still, the Council didn't listen. They had stopped taking humans seriously long ago. For centuries, humans had been part of the galactic community. Engineers, traders, explorers. They built technology that powered half the Council's systems. They built ships that saved lives in wars. They even shared their medicines freely. But they were also emotional, restless, and sometimes too proud. The galaxy had laughed at their passion, their art, their constant talk about hope. And now, they were gone. Hours passed. More reports came in. Human colonies silent. Human trade stations empty. Human communication networks offline, no messages, no distress calls, no warning. It was as if humanity had vanished overnight. The Council ordered a communication scan across the spiral. But even the satellites built by humans were dead. Cold metal floating in the dark. Began to spread like smoke, because the galaxy had never been this quiet before. By evening, the first scout ships were sent out. They went to the nearest human systems, Epsilon Eridani, Proxima, Haven, and the great core colonies near Earth. The fleets moved through space, silent and uneasy. Every pilot watched their radar screens carefully. Every captain whispered the same question. Where did they go? 3 days later, the first ship returned. It brought only one thing, a recording. The Council gathered in the Hall of Voices to watch. The video began with a view of New Geneva, a large human city on a green world. The city looked untouched. Buildings still stood tall. Lights still glowed faintly in windows. But there were no people, no humans walking the streets. No voices, no movement. The camera drifted over playgrounds, markets, spaceports, all silent. Even the birds were gone. The hall was filled with shocked whispers. The Zarn ambassador finally spoke, his voice shaking. Did they leave everything behind? The recording continued. At the edge of the city, the ground seemed to pulse, a faint blue glow spreading like veins through the soil. Then the video ended abruptly. For a few seconds, there was silence in the council hall. Then Admiral Kor stood up. "This is not an accident," he said. "This is a message." The council ordered more expeditions. Within a week, hundreds of human worlds were visited, and every single one was empty. Factories still worked. Robots still cleaned streets. Machines still hummed softly, but no human commanded them. In one city, an alien team found something strange. A single word written on a wall, glowing faintly in blue. Listen. No one could understand what it meant. The disappearance started to affect the galaxy itself. Human-built communication relays began to shut down. Trade systems failed. Ships powered by human-engineered cores started to glitch. It was as if the universe was slowly forgetting how to function without them. The council panicked. They sent diplomats, scientists, priests, anyone who could find answers. Some began to whisper in fear. Maybe they found something beyond us. Maybe they left because of what we did. But others were angry. "They abandoned us," shouted the Threll. "They took their knowledge and left the galaxy broken." Admiral Kor remained silent. Deep down he felt something darker. He remembered how humans were treated, mocked, ignored, underestimated. He remembered the times when their warnings were dismissed, their sacrifices forgotten. Perhaps, he thought, they didn't leave to escape. Perhaps they left to teach a lesson. Days turned into weeks. Still no sign of a single human ship. Even their distant colonies on the edges of the Milky Way were gone. Not destroyed. Just silent. Then came the final sign, on the 5th week all across the galaxy. Every human-made AI system flickered on for one brief moment. Every ship, every satellite, every digital display showed the same message. You never listened. And then, darkness. Every system powered down completely. The stars seemed dimmer that night. Worlds across the galaxy stared at their empty skies, realizing the truth. The humans were truly gone. In the Great Hall of Voices, Admiral Kor looked out at the council. No one was speaking anymore. No laughter. No arrogance. Just fear. He slowly removed his command badge and placed it on the table. "We should have listened," he said softly. "Because when humanity speaks, the universe listens. And when they go silent," he looked up at the stars through the glass ceiling. "The universe trembles." The hall remained silent for a long time. For the first time in galactic history, there were no words left to say. Only silence. The same silence that now stretched from one end of the galaxy to the other. And in that silence, something unseen was waiting. The silence did not fade. It spread, like a cold wind moving from one star to another. Weeks passed since humanity vanished, but the galaxy was still trying to understand what had happened. Trade had stopped. Communication lines were broken, and everywhere one question echoed in fear. Where are the humans? The Galactic Council gathered again on Velrian Prime. But this time, the Hall of Voices was quiet. No laughter. No arguments. Just worry. Machines were failing. Starships powered by human technology refused to start. Even simple devices, medical scanners, translators, data cores, had stopped working. It was as if the galaxy's heart had stopped beating. At the center of the hall stood Admiral Kor. His eyes were tired but sharp. He had seen wars, disasters, and rebellions. But never fear like this. He spoke calmly. "We must go to Earth." A silence followed. Earth, the homeworld of humanity, had been off limits for decades. Humans had protected it fiercely, and the Council had respected their wish. But now, no one was left to stop them. After long discussion, the Council agreed. A fleet would travel to the Sol system to investigate. Admiral Kor was chosen to lead the mission. The journey begins. The fleet of 20 ships lifted from Velrian Prime and entered the dark sea of stars. No one spoke much. The silence of space seemed heavier than usual. As they traveled closer to the center of human space, they passed world after world, all empty. Cities stood like monuments glowing faintly under alien suns. No signs of war, no destruction, just absence. Everywhere they went, the blue light was there, glowing softly beneath the ground, pulsing like a heartbeat. Scientists tried to study it, but their instruments failed. The energy was beyond understanding. "It feels alive," one technician whispered. "Like it's watching us." After 16 days, the fleet arrived at the edge of the Sol system. Earth's sun looked normal, warm and golden. But the planets around it were strangely quiet. Mars, Luna, Titan. All human colonies, all silent. No ships in orbit. No signals. Just floating debris and empty stations. As the fleet approached Earth, every sensor on board began to flicker. Navigation systems glitched. Artificial intelligence went offline. One by one, ship engines began to lose power. Admiral Kor gave the order. "Prepare manual landing." No machines, no risks. It took hours, but they finally descended toward the blue planet, the cradle of humanity. Touchdown on Earth, they landed in what was once New London, a vast megacity built along Earth's oceans. The sky was calm, the air clean. Buildings stood tall, shining in sunlight. But like every other place, it was empty. Kor and his team stepped onto the ground. Their footsteps echoed between towers. The streets were perfect. Cars parked, lights still on, food still on tables inside homes. But no people. Not one, the Admiral spoke softly. They left everything behind, as if they just vanished mid-step. One soldier pointed toward a giant screen on a nearby building. It flickered weakly, showing random images: oceans, forests, stars. Then suddenly the screen changed. White text appeared on a black background. "Why did you not listen?" The letters glowed for 3 seconds, then vanished. The team froze. Was that real? A scientist whispered. "Maybe an automated message?" Another suggested, but Core shook his head. "No, that was not a recording. That was now." They searched the city for hours. Everywhere they found signs of life, but no life itself. Doors open, food half-eaten, lights on. It was like humanity had simply walked away from reality. In the central square, the blue light appeared again, glowing through cracks in the stone. Core knelt beside it. It was warm, humming softly like distant music. He placed his hand over it, and suddenly his helmet display flashed. He saw faces. Human faces, men, women, children, standing silently looking at him. Their eyes were calm, almost sad. Then he heard a voice, not through his ears, but inside his mind. "We gave you everything." He jumped back, heart racing. The vision disappeared. "Admiral? What happened?" "They spoke to me," Core said quietly. "Not with sound, with thought." The others didn't believe him, until they all saw it too. For 1 second, every visor in the team flashed the same words. "You never listened." And then everything went dark. Their suits powered off, communications died, and the blue light vanished. When systems rebooted a minute later, the message was gone. The return. The team hurried back to their ships. Every member was shaken, some terrified, some crying. They had not found death. They had found something far stranger. When they returned to orbit, they discovered something else. Every satellite around Earth had disappeared. Only empty space remained. Core sent one last scan across the planet, and for a brief moment the scanners picked up something deep beneath the surface. A structure, enormous, made of pure energy, shaped like a heart. Before they could analyze it, the scanners melted. Literally, it overheated and fused. The fleet left Earth in silence. On their way back to Velrian Prime, no one dared to speak. Some whispered theories. Humans evolved into energy beings. They were taken by something greater. "They're punishing us," but Admiral Core said nothing. He sat in his chair, watching the stars pass by. He kept hearing that voice in his head, the calm human voice. "We gave you everything." And deep inside, he understood the meaning. Humanity hadn't been destroyed. They had withdrawn, taken back their gifts, their machines, their light. It was not revenge. It was judgment. When the fleet finally reached the Galactic Council, the hall was full again. Leaders demanded answers. "Did you find them? Are they dead? Is it a weapon?" Admiral Core looked around the room, at all the powerful races who had once mocked the humans. He raised his head slowly and spoke. "They are gone. But not gone. They are watching us." And they said, "We never listened." The room fell silent again. For the second time in history, the galaxy had no words, only fear, and the echo of human silence spreading through the stars. The great hall of the Galactic Council was silent again. The delegates, once proud, once loud, now sat in fear and confusion. The air felt heavy, filled with questions that no one wanted to ask. At the center stood Admiral Core. His voice from the last meeting still echoed in their minds. "They are gone. But not gone. They are watching us." That sentence haunted them. The humans had vanished, but their presence was still everywhere. In machines, in systems, even in the stars themselves. And the more time passed, the clearer it became. The galaxy could not function without them. The collapse begins. It started small. A few energy reactors, designed by human engineers, began to shut down for no reason. Then navigation networks across 3 sectors went offline. Within days, half of the Council's ships were grounded. Without human-designed cores, they could not fly. Medical stations powered by human nanotech stopped working. Patients died. Food transport failed. Whole planets went dark. Panic spread. The alien worlds who once mocked humans were now begging the Council for help. But there was no help to give. Everything we use, everything we depend on, came from them, whispered the Threll ambassador. And now it's all failing. Searching the archives, desperate for answers, The Council ordered a search through the Central Galactic Archives, a massive vault of knowledge buried deep beneath Velrion Prime. For days, historians and scientists dug through thousands of years of records, searching for anything about humanity's final years, and then they found it, an old file, unopened for over 2 centuries. It was marked simply, Human Advisory Protocol. The Council gathered around as the hologram activated. A human man appeared, wearing a simple uniform with the Earth insignia on his chest. He looked calm but tired. His voice was soft, yet every word carried weight. To all members of the Galactic Council, if you are watching this, humanity has stepped away. A murmur spread through the hall. We tried to warn you, the recording continued. We told you that the path you follow, of greed, of arrogance, of endless war, will destroy not only you but everything around you. You did not listen. The man paused, then leaned closer. You took our knowledge but mocked our compassion. You accepted our help but rejected our values. You built empires on the backs of our inventions and then called us primitive. He looked directly into the camera. There will come a day when you need us again. On that day the stars will grow cold, and you will remember our silence. The recording ended. No one spoke for a long time, guilt in the hall. The council members sat frozen. Some looked ashamed. Others refused to meet anyone's eyes. Admiral Kor finally broke the silence. They warned us. And we laughed. He remembered his own past, the war he had fought against humans decades ago. He remembered how they tried to make peace even after being attacked. He remembered how they rebuilt worlds destroyed by others, never asking for anything in return, and yet, the Council had called them too emotional. Now, the galaxy was paying the price for its arrogance. The hidden reports, as the historians dug deeper. They found more. Thousands of human reports, ignored or deleted by the Council centuries ago. They showed how humans had tried to prevent the Varn conflict, the biochip war, and the Draken collapse, but were always silenced. One message stood out, a written plea from a human diplomat named Alara Voss. You think we seek control? We seek survival. If you continue this way, the galaxy will burn. When it does, we will not burn with it. Kor read the letter again and again. They were preparing for this, he said. They knew one day we would destroy ourselves. And they chose to step away before it happened. The regret soon, word spread across every world. The humans didn't die. They left, and the reaction was chaos. Some alien civilizations began to worship humanity, calling them the Ascended. Temples were built, songs were sung, prayers were offered to the silent humans. Others were angry. They accused the Council of pushing humanity away, of abusing their kindness. Protests broke out. Governments fell. Everywhere the same message echoed. They warned us. Kor's realization. One night, Admiral Kor stood alone on the balcony of his command tower. The stars looked peaceful, but he knew the truth. The galaxy was falling apart. He remembered his visit to Earth, the glowing blue light, the message in his mind, the calm human faces watching him. He whispered softly, "You were never weak. We were blind." Behind him a voice spoke. It was Rin Tyler, a scientist who had been studying human artifacts. "Admiral," she said, "I found something. An old transmission. It was sent from the edge of the galaxy, years before the silence began." Kor turned. "From humans?" She nodded. "Yes, it says they were building something in a sanctuary. A place to protect what they called the human spirit." He frowned. "A sanctuary? Where?" Rin looked uncertain. "They hid the coordinates, but they left a trail, encrypted in their own technology. The same blue energy we've seen everywhere." Kor's heart pounded. "Then they didn't disappear. They moved." The rising mystery. The next day, Kor presented the discovery to the Council. He showed them the data, patterns of energy linking human worlds together like veins across the galaxy. It formed a shape, a spiral, and at its center, one location glowed brighter than the rest. "That," said Rin Taylor, pointing to the hologram, "is where they went." The Council gasped. The coordinates led to a region known as the Silent Expanse, a dead zone where ships vanished and communication failed. No one had dared to enter it for centuries. Admiral Kor clenched his fist. "Then that's where we'll go. We owe them answers, and maybe forgiveness. The fading light, but before the fleet could leave, something strange happened. Across the galaxy, stars began to dim. Not all, just the ones near human systems. One by one, they flickered, as if someone was slowly turning off the lights of the universe. Scientists called it impossible. Priests called it punishment. Kor called it a warning. The more we search, the more they remind us what we've lost, he said. They are still out there. And they are not finished with us. He turned to the stars, dark, fading, and silent. We forgot their past, he whispered. Now they are making us remember. The galaxy was breaking apart. Trade routes were gone, power grids failed, and chaos spread from one world to the next. And then something even stranger began to happen. It started on a dead mining world called Tovarn 6, a planet once rich with human colonies, now empty and cold. For years it had drifted in silence, until one night a light appeared, blue and gold, rising from beneath the surface like fire from a heartbeat. It pulsed slowly, spreading across the frozen ground. Machines long dead began to turn on by themselves. An old communication tower, built by human hands centuries ago, powered up. Its lights blinked once, twice, and then it spoke. The voice was human, calm, gentle, sad. You took our light. Now you live in shadow. And then the tower exploded, leaving behind nothing but a single glowing mark burned into the metal, the symbol of infinity. When the Galactic Council received the report, they thought it was a trick. But then more messages came, from the ice moons of Varus, from the dust fields of Nadara, from the broken stations near Proxima Gate. Everywhere, old human structures began to awaken. Each one spoke a single line, in a human voice before vanishing again. We gave you warmth. You turned it to fire. You wanted power, not peace. Now learn silence. Each message was different, but all carried the same feeling, sorrow. Not anger, not revenge, just deep human sadness. The council was terrified. No one could explain it. Scientists said it was impossible. These machines had no power source. Priests said it was judgment. The spirit of humanity had become something divine. Admiral Kor said nothing. He just watched the recordings again and again. Each time he heard something new in the human voices, something beyond words. It felt like they were trying to teach, not destroy. The AI resurrection, on the 4th week after the first awakening, the Council received an emergency transmission. It came from a deep space station orbiting the gas giant Lithra. Admiral, said the frightened voice of a station commander, our AI just activated on its own. It's speaking. Kor rushed to the control room as the transmission continued. On screen, an ancient AI core glowed bright white. Its voice filled the room, smooth, warm, unmistakably human. Admiral Kor, it said softly. You came to Earth. You saw the silence. Kor froze. How do you know that? We remember everything, the AI replied. Every battle, every insult, every moment we tried to help and were ignored. The council members watching the broadcast began to whisper. Is this humanity? No, it's their machines, someone said. No, Kor whispered. It's more than that. The AI continued, voice steady. You depended on us. You used our gifts, but you never understood why we gave them. Now the galaxy stands alone as we once did. Kor stepped forward, eyes wide. Where are you? Where is humanity now? The AI was silent for a moment. Then it spoke its final words. We are not gone, Admiral. We are becoming, and the signal ended. The entire station went dark. Echoes across the stars within days. More reports arrived. Across hundreds of systems, human AIs were waking up, one by one. Each AI spoke for a few moments, delivering cryptic messages before vanishing or burning itself out. A few examples. You wanted gods. You forgot the cost. We were the builders. You were the destroyers. Forgiveness is not silence. Every message was recorded and sent to the council, but no one could make sense of them, except Admiral Kor. He gathered the recordings and played them together, hundreds of voices overlapping. When combined, they formed a pattern, a rhythm. Almost like music, almost like a heartbeat. Rin Taylor, the scientist who had discovered the human sanctuary clue, ran the data through translation software. Her face went pale. "Admiral," she said softly, "it's not random. It's coordinates. The heart of the spiral, the coordinates pointed to a single point in space, deep inside the silent expanse. The region where ships vanished and light itself seemed to die. The same location that appeared in the old human data maps." Kor looked at the hologram. "The center of the spiral," he whispered. "The heart of their silence," the council argued furiously. "We can't go there. Every ship that enters that zone disappears. What if it's a trap?" But Kor had already made his decision. "If we don't go," he said, "the galaxy will die in ignorance. If we do, maybe we'll understand." Rin Taylor volunteered to join him. "If this is where they went," she said, "we should see what they became." The fleet was small this time, only 5 ships. Each one manually operated, free of human technology. Powered by alien systems alone, they left at dawn, moving toward the dark edge of the universe. The signs of awakening as they entered the silent expanse. Strange things began to happen. The stars around them flickered, appearing and vanishing like lights behind fog. The ship's sensors picked up impossible readings, entire planets forming and disappearing in seconds. It was as if reality itself was unstable here. Then the blue light appeared again. Not on one world, but everywhere. Streams of glowing energy flowed through space, connecting stars like veins in a living body. Rin stared at the sight, speechless. "It's alive," she whispered. "The silence is alive." The Admiral's voice was quiet. "No, it's not silence. It's them." As the ships drifted closer, the energy pulsed, once, twice, like a heartbeat. And then they heard it, a sound across all frequencies, impossible to locate. A whisper made of 1,000 human voices speaking as one. "The universe trembled when we fell silent. Now it must learn to listen." The fleet's systems went dark. Every light, every engine, every circuit, gone. In the dark cockpit, Kor looked out at the blue glow filling the void. It was beautiful, terrifying, infinite. "They've awakened," he whispered. When power returned moments later, the energy had vanished. Only the coordinates remained on their screens. And a final message, written in human text. "This is only the beginning." The fleet floated in silence. Only the dim lights of their ships glowed in the endless darkness of the silent expanse. Every system was unstable. Engines flickered, sensors blinked, and the air inside the ships felt heavy, as if the space itself was alive. Admiral Kor stood at the command window of his cruiser Vigilant Dawn, staring into the swirling blue lights that filled the void ahead. They looked like rivers of energy, flowing through nothing yet connecting everything. Behind him, Rin Taylor was busy running scans. Her hands shook slightly, though she tried to hide it. "Admiral," she said softly, "these readings, they're not natural. The energy is communicating." Kor turned to her. "Communicating? How?" She hesitated. "It's forming signals, not random ones. Patterns, almost like human language, but mixed with something new." Before Kor could answer, the ship's sensors beeped, faintly, weakly. A new signal had appeared on their screen. It was old, very old. "It's a satellite," said Rin, her eyes widening. "A human one." The satellite, the fleet adjusted course and moved slowly toward the signal. The coordinates led them to a single object drifting near a dying star. A small satellite, no larger than a shuttle, wrapped in metal scarred by time. Yet it still worked. Its lights were dim but steady. Kor ordered it brought aboard. Inside the cargo bay, the air was tense. The satellite looked ancient but strangely alive. Blue light pulsed faintly across its surface, just like the glow they had seen on Earth. Rin brushed off the dust and found human words engraved on one side. "Project Elysium, humanity's last beacon." She swallowed hard. Elysium? That was a human myth, a paradise beyond death. Kor nodded. Maybe they built their own. When they connected the satellite to their power grid, the ship trembled slightly. Then everything went silent. The lights flickered. The air grew cold, and then the satellite spoke. The voice of humanity, a holographic figure, appeared in the air above the satellite. A human man, tall and calm, his face faintly glowing with light. He looked neither young nor old, His eyes were full of both sadness and peace. "To those who still search among the stars," he said softly, "if you have found this message, then humanity is gone from your sight." No one moved. Every alien in the room was frozen. "We did not die," the man continued. "We left. Because our words no longer mattered, and our hearts no longer found peace among you." The voice carried no anger, only deep sorrow. "We warned you of greed. We spoke against your wars. We gave you our science, our art, our hope. But you mocked our weakness, our compassion, our humanity." Rin felt tears on her cheeks. The Admiral's fists clenched tightly. "We do not hate you," the hologram said. "We pity you, because you never understood that our greatest power was never our machines. It was our unity, our ability to care, to forgive, to dream." The room was completely silent. Even the hum of the engine stopped for a moment. "We have taken back what was ours," the man continued. "Our energy, our creations, our light. We will use them to build a new path, one beyond your reach, a place where cruelty has no voice." The hologram flickered. And then the background behind the man changed, revealing thousands of human ships, glowing bright white, flying into the heart of a massive blue nebula. "Do not follow us," the man said. "Not yet. You are not ready." He looked directly at the camera as if seeing through time itself. "But if you learn, if you remember who we were and what we tried to teach you, then maybe one day you will find us again." The hologram began to fade. "Until then," the voice whispered, "listen to the silence. In it you will hear our truth." Then the light vanished. The satellite went dark. The meaning for several minutes no one spoke. The room was filled only with the sound of their breathing. Finally, Rin whispered, "They didn't leave because they hated us. They left because they loved something better." Admiral Kor nodded slowly. "They left because we refused to change." He looked down at the now dead satellite. "And they gave us one last chance to learn." The star that spoke before they could remove the satellite, the dying star nearby, suddenly brightened. The scanners screamed with energy readings far beyond their capacity. The blue light from the satellite began to spread across the ship, across space, forming strange glowing shapes in the void. At first, it looked like random light patterns, but then the shapes formed symbols, human letters. The entire fleet watched as a message appeared in space itself, glowing across the stars. "Your strength was never your own." The light pulsed once and then shot outward, traveling across the galaxy like a wave. Everywhere it passed, broken human machines came alive for a few seconds, and then turned off again. It was as if the message itself was spreading across the cosmos, a final echo of human will. The understanding when the wave finally faded. The Admiral's ship floated silently again. Rin looked at Kor with wide eyes. "Admiral, what does it mean?" Kor sighed. "It means everything we built depended on them. Not just their technology, but their spirit. Without it, we are hollow." He looked out the window at the distant stars. "They gave us the tools to survive, but we used them to dominate. We thought we were powerful, but our strength was only borrowed." Rin nodded quietly. "They left to teach us what it means to be alive." The final line. The Admiral called the council from his ship. The holograms of alien leaders filled the command room, all waiting for answers. "Did you find them?" one demanded. "Where did they go?" asked another. Kor stood tall, his voice calm. "We found their message," he said. "They built something new, beyond our understanding. They warned us not to follow." The council was silent. "They said our strength was never our own," Kor continued. "Without them, the galaxy is falling apart. We must learn what they tried to teach us, or we'll lose everything." One counselor hissed, "You speak like they were gods." Kor looked straight at him. "No," he said quietly. "They were human." The stars responded at that moment. Every ship's screen flickered again. A final message appeared, not from the satellite, but from the stars themselves. "We will return when the stars learn humility." And then silence. Real pure silence, the same silence that had once terrified the galaxy, but now somehow felt like hope. The silence spread across the stars. At first it was peaceful. Then it became terrifying. Systems failed. Ships drifted helplessly in the dark. Planets that had once glowed with life began to dim. Everywhere. The signs were the same, Power grids failing, cities losing light, communication breaking down. And all of it traced back to one truth. Every piece of advanced technology in the galaxy had once been built on human foundations. Without humanity, those systems were dying. The fading of the machines on the planet Rovan. Great towers once reached the clouds, powered by human fusion cores. Now, one by one, their lights went out. Entire cities fell silent in a single night. The people tried everything, replacing wires, rerouting power, praying to whatever gods they believed in. Nothing worked. On the desert world Karis Prime, floating ships that once carried minerals through the air suddenly crashed to the sand. The sky burned for 3 days, across the galaxy. The pattern repeated. Every world that had relied on human technology was slowly falling apart. The Council's desperation, in the heart of the Galactic Council's capital, chaos reigned. Thousands of delegates shouted across the chamber. We must rebuild our own systems. We must find their blueprints. We must track them down. Admiral Kor sat quietly among them, watching the panic grow. He had seen this coming. He had warned them, but no one had listened. Finally, the council leader struck her staff against the floor. Enough! Admiral Kor, you were the last to see their message. Speak, Kor stood, his voice steady but grim. The humans didn't just take their people, he said. They took the spark that made our galaxy work. Their science wasn't just circuits and energy. It was alive. It responded to emotion, to unity. And we broke that bond. The chamber went silent. Without them, he continued, our machines have no heart. We can't fix this with tools. We must fix ourselves first. The council erupted again, shouting in disbelief. Philosophy won't save us. We need power, not peace. But Kor simply looked down. That, he said quietly, is exactly why they left. The fall of the great world's weeks passed. Then months, entire civilizations began to collapse. The proud empire of Zathir fell within 2 weeks after its central AI went dark. The starfaring traders of Nerath lost every navigation system and vanished into the void. Even the warrior clans of Tarun, who had once mocked human kindness, were now begging for help as their weapons refused to fire. Each message that reached the council was the same. Systems failing, energy gone, chaos rising. Admiral Kor listened to every distress call, his heart heavy. He could not save them. No one could. The scientist's Discovery Rin Taylor refused to give up. She spent days and nights studying the remains of the Elysium satellite, hoping to understand the secret behind human energy. One night, she found something, a small code fragment buried deep within the satellite's memory. It wasn't a command. It wasn't data. It was a song, a simple melody. Soft, beautiful, unmistakably human. When she played it, the room filled with faint blue light, the same glow they had seen in the silent expanse. The broken equipment around her flickered to life for a few seconds, as if remembering what it once was. She stared in awe. Their power was emotion, she whispered. Their technology responded to feeling, not control. The next morning she rushed to Kor. Admiral, I found something. They left a code, a melody. It reacts to empathy, not command. Kor frowned. Empathy? Rin nodded. Their systems were built on connection. When they felt kindness, unity, trust, they worked. When they felt greed and fear, they shut down. Kor looked out the window at the dying stars. Then the galaxy will never make them work again. Rin's eyes filled with tears. Unless we change. The riot as the collapse worsened, fear turned into rage. Across the capital, riots broke out. Citizens stormed government buildings, demanding power, food, and answers. Fires burned in the streets. Shattered glass glimmered under the dim light of failing street lamps. Kor walked among them, unarmed. He saw the panic, the desperation, and it broke him. He shouted above the noise, "Stop! You're destroying what's left." But no one listened. The crowd was too lost in fear. A stone struck his shoulder. Another hit his leg. Still, he didn't fight back. He simply looked up at the sky, the dark sky where once human ships had filled the stars, and whispered, "You were right." We never learned. The first act of change, when the fires finally died, something strange happened. A small group of aliens, citizens, scientists, even children, came together in the ruins of the capital. They began to rebuild, not with greed or command, but with cooperation. They shared food freely. They worked together without leaders, without ranks, and slowly their tools began to flicker back to life. Not perfectly, but enough. When Kor and Rin arrived, they saw a faint blue light pulsing through the machines. Rin's voice trembled. "It's responding to them. To their kindness," Kor smiled weakly. "Maybe this is what the humans meant. Maybe this is how it begins again." The hope in the ashes word spread across the surviving worlds. The few remaining signals carried a simple message: work together, feel, care. And wherever that message was heard, small lights returned. Farms began to grow again. Engines started with a whisper of power. Children laughed in the streets for the first time in years. The galaxy was still broken, still wounded, but it was learning. Rin looked at Kor one night under the faint glow of a rekindled generator. "Do you think they're watching us?" she asked. Kor smiled sadly. "I think they always were. And maybe, just maybe, they're smiling too." The silent signal far away, beyond the known stars, in the deep blue heart of the silent expanse, a new light appeared. It blinked once. Then again, a human voice, distant but clear, echoed across the void. "They're learning." And somewhere unseen, 1,000 human ships stirred, their engines humming softly once more. The galaxy had changed. It took years, maybe decades, but slowly the chaos began to fade. The fires burned out. The wars stopped. People started to rebuild, not for power, but for survival. And for peace, no one forgot the silence. No one forgot what humanity had taken with them. But more importantly, no one forgot what humanity had taught them. The seeds of change on the planet Arius, a city once destroyed by greed, now glowed again. The citizens didn't build new weapons or towers. They built gardens, schools, hospitals. For the first time in centuries, different species worked side by side. No ranks, no slaves, no fear. And every night when the wind was quiet, they could hear faint music in the air, soft like a heartbeat, a reminder that the light of humanity still watched them. The message that returned Rin Taylor, now older and tired but still full of hope, sat in her lab surrounded by old data crystals. For years she had searched the stars for any sign, any whisper that humanity might return. One evening, as she reviewed an old satellite recording, her screen flickered. A message appeared, not from the Council, not from any known world. It was just 3 words. "We are listening." Her heart stopped. She ran to Admiral Kor's quarters, though he too was now an old man, gray and quiet. "Admiral," she gasped. They answered. Kor looked up slowly, his eyes wide. "Humanity?" Rin nodded. The signal came from the silent expanse. The Council's reaction. When the message reached the Galactic Council, the chamber was silent. No shouting, no anger. They had learned humility. They had learned patience. For once they looked to Admiral Kor not for orders, but for guidance. "Should we respond?" one asked softly. Kor closed his eyes. "No," he said finally. "Not yet. If they're listening, it means they're watching. Let's show them who we've become." The Council agreed. And so, for the first time in galactic history, the Council chose not to send a fleet, not to chase power, not to claim what was lost. They chose to rebuild in it together. The New Age years passed. The galaxy entered what came to be called the Age of Renewal. New cities rose from the ashes. Technology worked again, not as powerful as before, but alive and kind. Machines responded not to control, but to cooperation. Wherever kindness grew, faint blue light returned, glowing softly in every city, every home. The color of humanity. Children grew up hearing stories about the humans, not as gods, not as ghosts, but as teachers. Some believed the humans were still out there. Others thought they had become part of the stars. But one thing was certain. Their silence had changed everything. The return on the 1,000th cycle since the Day of Silence. Something extraordinary happened. The stars themselves began to shift. Every telescope, every scanner across the galaxy picked it up. A massive energy surge at the edge of the silent expanse. Blue light, brighter than ever before, filled the sky. Planets on opposite ends of the galaxy saw it at the same moment. And in the center of that light, ships began to appear. They were human ships, silent, graceful, built from light itself. The voice came first, carried through every frequency, every planet, every living mind. You have learned. Every being in the galaxy stopped whatever they were doing and looked toward the sky. The voice continued, calm and powerful. You built without greed. You healed what was broken. You learned to listen. On the council world, Admiral Kor stood outside, tears in his eyes as he looked up at the glowing horizon. You came back, he whispered. The reunion, a single human figure appeared in the sky, projected across every world. It looked like light wearing the shape of a man. We never left, the figure said softly. We waited. We watched. We hoped. The voice grew warmer. The galaxy has changed. It has grown. You have become what we once dreamed you could be. Kor stepped forward, his voice trembling. Will you stay this time? The figure smiled. We will walk with you again. But this time not as leaders, as equals. And then across the stars, one by one, new human ships descended, glowing vessels that touched down gently on worlds once ruled by silence. From each ship, light spread, reviving old machines, healing the broken landscapes, bringing warmth where there had been none. The humans had returned, not in anger, not in pride, but in peace. The final lesson later, Bryn stood beside Kor, watching as a group of children, alien and human, played together under the twin suns of Arius. Do you think it will last this time? She asked. Kor smiled faintly. If we remember why they left, then yes. He looked at the sky, where faint blue trails still glowed, like threads weaving the galaxy together again. They didn't save us, he said. They taught us to save ourselves, Rin nodded. And now we save each other. The light beyond in the far reaches of the galaxy. Beyond all known stars, the last echo of the silence faded. Humanity's voice spoke one final time, soft, almost like a whisper in a dream. Once the universe trembled when we fell silent. Now it sings because we returned. And for the first time in history, the galaxy sang with them.